apples for an apple pie. Yes, I am. And maybe I'll do some little chit-chatty things. So, I don't know. I talked about a lot of different, like, things, like, because I don't always talk about trending things, like I said in my last live stream on Saturday, that I'm not really that interested in, like, I don't know, whatever the social trending thing is. I just had noticed, like, that the trad wife was on my radar, and then I got another video recommendation about this woman who was saying, like, okay, I just don't think this is, like, pertaining to everybody, and I'm like thinking, in every era, this hasn't always pertained to everybody, and I guess this is the thing about the trad wife. I'm not even offended that they live, like, a super aesthetic lifestyle with, like, kind of out of reach products, because there's a lot of influencers that do that, and I remember thinking, okay, a few years ago, like even a year ago, there were people that I talked to, they honestly, they don't make aesthetic content, but I think they got an idea that they somehow wanted to kind of aspire to, like, people who make aesthetic content. Like, that was like their goal, and they were like, this is how we're supposed to be, because this is like what's trending on YouTube. And that's fine. Like, if you want to try and appeal to the aesthetic content, that's fine. But I don't even think it was the trad wives. Like, full disclosure, I'm a single woman. I don't have kids. So I'm definitely not, like, anybody that has anything really to say about trad wives. Like, I think people get confused by me because, I don't know, I don't really fit into one box. Like, I tend to, like, to wear dresses a lot, and I like to cook. Like, when I have time, I love to cook. Like, I do like to make things from scratch when I have time, and I feel like I should prepare better every day. But sometimes I just feel like if time's limited, I'm not going to do that. So if I have time to make something from scratch, I'm going to use, like, what's left of the apples that my mom gave me on retreat to make apple pies and stuff like that. Like, I think if you have all the time in the world, you should, make more stuff from scratch. But it's not always realistic for everybody. And I think, okay, so the trad wife thing is just like the other aesthetic content that's overproduced. Because single people do this too. It's just their priorities are different. Like, so you have the aesthetic girly who might be doing, like, the raw vegan diet, or maybe that's not as popular anymore. Like, a few years ago, she'd be doing, like, the raw vegan smoothie diet, okay? But now a lot of them do, like, high protein, not exactly carnivore diet, but I don't know. They do something else. And then you have the gym guys, or you just might have other people that do kind of overly aesthetic content. And, like, their films that they put out are, like, movie productions. Like, when you watch these, like, they don't really live stream. Why don't they live stream? Like, they might occasionally, but most of them don't live stream, and most of them don't answer people in their comments. And they love friction in their comments because that's engagement for them. Like, I used to be confused. Like, why do people put out something that they know is going to be kind of controversial or might, like, get people talking? And I was like, you know what? They're perfectly happy with it. They don't care. And then somebody said, oh, if you are a big channel, you shouldn't look at your comments. And I think that's kind of irresponsible. Even if you are a big channel and you have, like, a team that's managing your comments, I just think that's irresponsible that you're putting content out there with, like, because I don't even think, like, I know some people are like, oh my gosh, the family vloggers, like, they are the ones that are so bad. But a lot of times it's, like, the people in the comments that are just weird, because there are some family vloggers that are fine. So me, as a single person who's never had kids, didn't want to have kids, I can't exactly be upset about trad wives. I just don't think it's realistic because it's aesthetic content, just like single people are putting out, or just like married people without kids. Like, I think the more produced the content is, you know that they have a team of people helping them, and I don't feel like upset about that. I'm just like, they're doing their thing and I'm doing my thing, and I think that's just one of the problems that I'm kind of seeing, I think, just nowadays, or in general, really. But maybe it's more because people aren't as neighborly anymore. Like, do people, like I actually asked this in the comments in one video, like somebody was complaining that this lady didn't have brown sugar and that she was making a recipe and had to go get it, and why didn't she have it? And I was like, she can't ask her neighbor for like sugar, because I guess I'm weird, but I grew up in a time like in the 80s and 90s when like people were still somewhat neighborly, but I lived in a rural Southern California community, so maybe it was different. I didn't grow up in the big city, but even like I would say a few decades back, people used to be neighborly, and I think with social media, people, especially since the pandemic, have become a little bit more isolated, and I can't help but think some of the things that they say are coping mechanisms, like doing this and that, might be causing more anxiety, because some anxiety is natural, but I think some of the not like encouraging people, like I'm not an outgoing person at all. I'm a very introverted person, but I think you can at least say hi to people. You don't have to have like some full-blown social conversation with them, and some people don't like that. I'm just like polite to a lot of people, but I don't really feel a need to do small talk with people I don't know. Like I don't really go to social functions, but I can be polite to people, and that's just how I choose to live my life. I'm choosing to live my life in a more introverted sort of way. Like if you want to be extroverted, what I'm telling you would not help you, because extroverted people want to have that social interaction. And so I wanted to get back to what this lady said about why she thinks, or her, I have a grapefruit, by the way. I want to put that in the apples instead of a lemon, because I need to use up my grapefruits. So I wanted to get back to like what she said about why she thought people were going for like the trad wife thing as opposed to like when they used to do the girl boss. And there's just a lot of reasons I don't agree with it. Like she was like, oh, we were all at home. Like we were all under stay-at-home orders. And I'm like, I just think that's so naive. Like you believe everybody was under stay-at-home orders. A lot of people had to walk the city streets like me, because I don't drive. We had to walk the city streets to get to work during the pandemic when everybody else said, we're under stay-at-home orders. We got to play games. We got to do this. And I'm like, that wasn't my reality. That wasn't my sister's reality. That wasn't the reality of a lot of people I know. Like, we had to go out there and we had to work every day. And somebody was saying, well, because of the pandemic and people were under stay-at-home orders, they decided that they wanted to become more interested in, like, homemaking skills or cooking skills and things like that, which is fine, but I just don't think that's taking into account that half the population is single, and why would single people not want to know how to cook too? Like, look, if you want to just eat pre-made foods your entire life, I don't really care, but I don't think you have to be married to learn how to cook. Like, I just think you can cook if you want, and marriage is not required. And it just seems like they are, I think this trad wife thing is just kind of out of touch in a way, and I'm not even upset about it. I just think it's not realistic, because there's a lot of single people in their 30s, 20s, and 40s, like nowadays. Like half the population is single. A lot of people don't get married. Even people I know that are in relationships, a lot of them are choosing not to get married. Like my sister, she was married before, but she got divorced. And she's been dating this guy in like a long-term relationship, and they have like a very stable relationship. And I kind of consider this person like her, like, I mean, he's not her husband, but I consider him like her life partner. And I think is like the most mature relationship of a lot of people I've seen. Like, I actually respect my sister's relationship more than anybody I know. Like, she has like one of the most like stable, good relationships, and he's just a really good guy. Like, I mean, he's not the guy for me, but he's like the perfect guy for her. And they're just very stable, but they don't want to get married. Like, they have no need to get married. Like, some people, they really, like, that's important to them. And, like, yeah, if you want to get married, you should. But it's like their own, it's like they're already married. Like, so they don't need that. Like, they don't need that piece of paper that says, like, they're married by the state. They feel like they're married. They're, like, they've been with each other for, I don't know, I think about 8 years. Like, she told me before that they were just friends. But I was pretty sure that they were together. And she finally admitted it to me like 4 years ago, like, because she'd always be like, oh, we're just friends. I'm like, well, you spend a lot of time with him. It just seems, but that was the thing. They were very mature about it because they both have kids, and they said that they just wanted to take their time. And like, I just really respect her. She's in a really mature relationship. So I don't have anything against trad wives or anything. I just think some of these younger people that are saying, oh, I'm a trad wife, I think that they're lacking certain life experience. And some of these older women that are saying you should watch out, I don't think they're lying to them, because right now, like the girlies that make that really aesthetic content, they do make money like with their brand deals and things like that. But you know, it is true, like if you were not having a brand deal like that, and let's say you were a stay-at-home mother and you were married to this guy that afforded you this really cushy lifestyle, and you didn't have any independent money of your own, you didn't have a prenuptial agreement, that could be an economic disaster for you, because when he decides to get divorced, or you decide to get divorced, and he decides to take you to court, and he is one of those dodos that doesn't want to pay child support, I'm like, you're kind of a bad person if you don't even want to pay child support. But those are just really bad scenario cases. I don't think all the divorces are like that. I think it's just, maybe the problem is there are a lot of good marriages out there, but I think the people that got married for those reasons, they didn't really think about it. Like, they just wanted that lifestyle. And I think that's the thing about the trad wife thing. I think it's just not realizing a lot of people aren't going to get married, or a lot of people are married and they are like stay-at-home mothers, like my mother, and they never, like my mom was a stay-at-home mom from like 1982, I would say, to 1992 for like a good 10 years. And she never lived like that trad wife lifestyle. She made things from scratch, but she always had her own checking account, okay? She had bills in her name. Like back then, it was kind of actually sexist, really, because in the 80s, you couldn't get the telephone, even in California, you couldn't get the telephone in your name, and she wanted it in her name because she always paid the bills. Like, my dad made money, but he gave her money, and she always did things herself to make money. Like, she would babysit, or she would, like, sell, like, things. Like, she had garage sales, and, like, she would do things to have some of her own spending money. She wasn't, and she had her own checking account. And a lot of married people, before this trad wife phenomenon, like, it was just a thing where they were these very independent women, and it was kind of a given that the husband gave the paycheck to the wife. And I know some men are going to be offended by that, like the, I don't know, like the incel dudes they might be, or like maybe but they gave their paycheck to the wife, and they expected the wife, like even in the 1950s, like a lot of times the wife was the one paying the bills in a lot of these families, managing the household, managing the budget. Like, it was a thing, like, I bring my paycheck home to my wife. Like, that was a thing. So, some of these trad wives who are like, oh, I don't worry about the money. Like, maybe it's because they're just so affluent that they have an accountant or something. I don't know. But a lot of the trad wives performative anyway. I don't think that the majority of people are living like that. And it's just like the other performative videos. Like, people would be like, look at this lady. Like, she's a single, or maybe she's just like dating someone, but she's not a trad wife, but she has like this very aesthetic content. And obviously she had a team that put that content together for her. And if that's what you like to watch, you like to watch things that are like a production, that's fine, but you're basically just watching a mini television production. It's not just this one person that was filming their life, you know? It's just not how the average vlogger or YouTuber, like when they make a video, it's just not going to look like that. It was never going to look like that. And I think people seem to forget that, and then they get really upset, and they're like, oh, but, like, why doesn't it look more realistic? And I'm like, it's not going to look realistic because, you know why? She's, like, it would be fun, like, for anybody that's a small creator to become a big creator. But there's a reason that some of these creators get ahead of the game early on. First off, they can buy ads. Yes, they have. And I'm not upset with it. I'm pro free market. I'm not into the socialism thing. Like, oh my God, like salivating over the red state. No, I'm not. Like, I don't like socialism. who cares? She bought ads, like, but it's true. Like, this is just reality. She bought ads, but so did those bodybuilder guys, and a lot of them might be in a television background or a film background. Maybe they studied filmmaking in school. So I think people don't realize there's a reason, and some of these people are getting the views that they have. And yeah, you do have to have the technical equipment too. That's another thing. Like, they can say, oh, you can just do it on your iPhone, but these people are not making those videos just on their iPhone. Even though the iPhone's a great, very good piece of equipment, they have lighting, they have editing equipment, and they have people who help them with it. Like, there's people that say, oh, my editor, like, they don't even edit their own video. Like, it's not them doing all that. Like, there are some people that do it themselves, but a lot of those people with the very aesthetic content, they're not doing that themselves. Like, they have somebody who does, like, if you see somebody that blows up really fast, they bought ads, they had connections. That's just the way the world works. Am I saying it's fair? No, but a lot of things in life aren't fair. So if you go and get us upset about overly curated content, I say don't get upset about it, because you know what it is. It's just content that maybe somebody paid to get promoted, that somebody has a team to help them put together. And there's a lot of content like that. And that, I guess that's another thing too, that I was just looking at some trending topics today, because I don't always look at trending topics, and everybody's like, I'm mad at Jennifer Lopez. And they're upset with her because she made some movies where, I guess, yeah, I mean, I did think it was kind of weird when, I'm trying to remember the name, The Wedding Planner, yes, that one. I was like, wait, she's not Italian. Why is she in a movie as an Italian person? I was really confused. I thought that's kind of weird, but I was like, okay, whatever. She is a good actress, I guess. I mean, I don't really but you know, Hollywood's been doing that for years, actually. And it's not entirely surprising. Like, a lot of people are getting mad at Jennifer, Lopez for doing that. But there's several different actresses that were told in the past, like that one Greek actress. Oh my gosh, I need to remember her name. But I reviewed her book, Instamom, and she was in Mia. I cannot believe I don't remember her name. I love her. She's a great actress. But she said in her book, she's Greek, and when she started in Hollywood in the early 90s, that they said, basically you should pretend like you're Latino in Hollywood. And they wanted to typecast her, and she's like, I'm not Latino, I'm Greek, I want to play myself. So nobody ever thought, like, maybe the reason Jennifer Lopez was doing all those roles where she was pretending to be like a Eurocentric white woman was because those were the only roles she could get, because up until recently, yeah, Hollywood's been kind of racist. Like, we know that. There's a history of racism in Hollywood. I don't think it was her, like, trying to pretend like she wasn't Puerto Rican, because I've always known, like, I guess because I'm older, I always remember she said she was Puerto Rican. And here's another thing too, I think a lot of people, they just didn't live through it, so they don't know some of the details. Like the movie Selena, that was a controversy back in the 90s, by the way. It was a controversy back in the 90s because they were upset that a Puerto Rican woman who was lighter skinned than Selena in real life, Jennifer Lopez, was given that role. Like, that was something that people were talking about in the news, but if you're Generation Z, you wouldn't maybe know that, because, well, you either weren't born yet, or you didn't look it up. But that was something I just remember on the news. I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, why didn't they give the role to a Hispanic lady? So yes, Jennifer Lopez has been in a lot of movies where she did not portray somebody like her, but I guess, like, you could kind of say, I mean, American Ferrera, like, sometimes she has played other Hispanic characters than, like, what her background is. Like, she's not the only one. In Selma Hayek, like, she was, I mean, I really love Selma Hayek. I love her a lot. But she was in Fools Rush In, and yes, she's Mexican by nationality and birth, but she's essentially Lebanese and Spanish. Like, her last name, Hayek, is a Middle Eastern last name. Like, my last name is Hannah. My ancestors were from Syria and Lebanon on my dad's side. Like, she is one of the people of Mexican descent that has, like, Middle Eastern origins. But if you watch that movie, Fools Rush In, she plays a character that represents a woman that seems to have like indigenous background, and she's not indigenous. And Frida Kahlo, by the way, and she plays in Frida, by the way. Frida portrayed herself as being like an indigenous woman, but Frida was of Austrian and Spanish descent. She was not indigenous, okay? So I know a lot of people are getting mad at Jennifer Lopez, but she's not the first Hispanic actress that ever played white passing roles or was given roles of a different ethnicity. That like are always of your cultural background, when up until recently we didn't have a lot of roles that represented a diversity of groups. And I remember I talked to somebody who didn't really get what that My Fat Greek Wedding. I'd have to go look her name up again. But anyway, they didn't get what I was saying about, well, it was kind of a struggle with her being Greek and not really able to find Greek roles, and she had to create her own roles. Like, look, there's nobody like me. I've never seen anybody that's exactly like me represented in Hollywood. I'm part Syrian, part English. I've never seen someone like that. So I think a lot of people were mad at her because she was in a movie, and I don't know. Or movies, like Jennifer Lopez has been in movies that don't really represent her background, but that's just been the history of Hollywood. Like, I'm sure she would be in a movie where she'd play like a Puerto Rican person, but are there a lot of movies like that? In fact, I don't watch a lot of movies anymore, but it's very rare that I see movies about Puerto Rican people. And that's like why, that's another reason I don't watch movies. There's just not much diversity of movie content. Plus, I don't like to sit down and watch movies. I'm just not a movie fan. So I guess a lot of people were mad at her for that, and then they said she lip sang songs and she stole people's music, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. It just feels like this has happened before. Like, I guess it was kind of known that she did these things, but like it wasn't openly known. I don't know, but do I care that deeply? Because I was never like following Jennifer Lopez's music. I wasn't like a big Jennifer Lopez fan, so I didn't follow all her music. I've seen some of her movies, but I didn't even know that this was a problem. But apparently it's a big problem. It's like a very big problem, I guess. Like, and then it made me think this too. Why is it a problem? Everybody's like, okay, on the TikTok, they're like, we don't care about celebrities anymore, but yet people are following her around and filming her. I mean, and they're talking about her. If they don't care about celebrities, then why don't they just do a video called making like bread or something, or like mopping the floor? Like, there's many other topics. Like, why are they talking about Jennifer Lopez? Because they know it's trending, right? And a lot of people make videos about topics that they know are trending. So I don't know. I guess I don't really care, because at the end of the day, okay, maybe she made some bad choices in her music career, but I don't think her movie career is any different than other Hispanic women, because like I said, Salma Hayek has portrayed roles that are not exactly her background. Like, I would say Fools Rush In, she's not of indigenous background, but the character she played in that movie comes across as being a woman of indigenous background, and that's not who she is. Just like Shakira's not of indigenous background. There's a lot of people that are Middle Eastern or they're white, and some of them have African background. Like, there's a lot of diversity in Latin cultures, just like there's a lot of diversity in American culture. Like, people think everybody's one thing, and if they don't like represent this exact thing, and I think that's the problem with the trad mom thing too, or just getting too invested in Boss Babe or whatever. Like, stop defining yourself by trends. And maybe I kind of foresee this. I know everybody wants to make aesthetic content right now, but I think that's going to be the next backlash. Like, I see a lot of these people that like complain about a certain trend. I think soon they're going to be complaining just about aesthetic content in general. Like, that's my prediction anyway. But I don't know. Who cares? They can complain about whatever they want. Because at the end of the day, I just don't really, I'm not a big aesthetic content person. It's just not that interesting to me. Like, it just feels too produced. And I kind of miss old school YouTube where things were more raw, like I was talking about yesterday. I just like more raw, real content, you know? I love that sort of thing. It just has a beautiful vibe to it that other types of content do not have. But going forward, like, so what do we do? Like, do we care about what celebrities do? Here's the thing, like, I guess my mom always told me when I was little, she's like, who cares about what a celebrity is doing? Like, if you want to watch a movie, that's great, watch the movie. But I think there's a lot of problematic behavior surrounding celebrities since the beginning of time, really. Like, and it's kind of playing out right now with the younger celebrities, like Taylor Swift. Like, people stalk them, and they stalk Jennifer Lopez, and they stalk Jennifer Garner. If you see a celebrity, you don't need to take their picture. You just don't. I don't understand, like, would you do that with a regular person? Would you follow a regular person down the street and film them? Like, that would be grounds for, like, stalking. Like, let's say a regular person was just going to the coffee shop. Would you be standing outside and filming them and then posting this to TikTok? And, like, supposedly you don't like this celebrity, but you're posting pictures about them. It's weird. So, some of these people that are complaining a little bit about her, they're clout chasers. Do you know what a clout chaser is? Like, they want views, okay? They will do anything for a view. They're like spilling the tea channels, and this is what I'm talking about when I say I don't like these spilling the tea channels. Like, they're the kind of people that they go online, and they look to see what the drama is, because they're not just wanting to live their own lives, so whatever. There's always been clout chasers, though, but I guess the new type of clout chaser is people who go on social media to critique what other people are doing on social media. It just, really? Anyhow, I don't know. Oh, yes, I was going to talk about the weather. I just want it to be warm and hot and spring-like already. I know it's just it's late March going to April, but I'm just so over rain. I'm like, I'm not a fan of the, like, colder weather, and I heard, even in Hawaii this year, they're having a colder winter into spring. I don't know. It's just not my thing. Like, I'm not into, like, layering, and I hate wearing jackets, but thankfully my sister agrees with me on this, because I felt like, am I the weirdo? Like, you don't have to agree with me, but I hate wearing jackets because they just feel so bulky. Like, I'd rather wear a couple of sweaters and move around a lot to heat myself up as opposed to wearing some big bulky jacket. When I wear a jacket, I'm just never happy about it because I'm like, it's the time of year that, like, jacket weather. It's just never something I look forward to, and I'll wear layers because you have to, but I love the heat. Like, in the summertime when everybody's complaining about the super sonic 110-degree heat in Southern California, I'm kind of feeling alive, and I'm just feeling good. Like, I love the heat. And people would have a panic attack when they saw me walking in the heat. But I had to warm up because I used to get so freezing, like in air-conditioned buildings. And just like you would have to escape the air conditioning to thaw out. Because this is me, like if it's summer outside, I know you should like technically wear a sweater. But I hate that feeling of it's summer outside and you have to wear a sweater because it's an air-conditioned building. Like, I'll do it if I have to, but I don't know. I just don't like it. So I kind of move around a lot. And then I go for a warm-up walk at lunch in the summer. Like, I love my lunch warm-up walks. Like, I just warm myself up. I don't need, like, and if it were up to me, and I never lived with anybody, I would never run my air conditioner because I would save money. Although, it's not really working right now because Southern California Edison's being silly, and they're saying that I'm spending like $226 on an apartment, and I don't run the lights all night and all day. And I know it's not accurate, but anyhow, like I've tried to be so frugal with my electricity and whatnot usage. Like I have, like when I'm not home, I turn off the lights, and I don't run heaters. Like, and I don't even run my air conditioner in the summer. I don't even run my air conditioner. And you would think I would have a really low energy bill. So now I'm getting them to come read the meter. Like, and I have spent hours in the last couple months saying, you need to come out and read the meter. This is so funny. My dilemma with Southern California Edison, I noticed, like, I kind of had let it go a few years ago, but I noticed the minute that we went to this digital meter, like they upgraded that a few years back, I noticed, like, my electricity bill was becoming progressively more expensive. But this last year, it's just gone off the wall bonkers. Like, I didn't even run my air conditioner once, okay, in August. It was like 120 degrees outside one day when I got home, and I opened the window, and most people could not handle this. Like, I just didn't want to have I would turn it on if it got really hot, run it for like 10 minutes, and then turn it off. Like, I don't, like, I was doing everything to try and keep my electricity bill low, and I still had, like, even a $70 bill then. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But this winter, I so disagree because I don't run the space heater, and I don't run appliances all day long. And I got this bill saying, you know, $190 for February. It just doesn't sound right. So I talked to people who own houses, and they're like, well, they had like $180 bill, and they own like 3-4 bedroom houses with multiple people living there. And I'm like, this just doesn't sound right. Like, I think something's off, but you know. So now I'm like pushing after 4 calls in the last 3 weeks. I say it's 2 months, but it's really been 3 weeks. They're finally putting in a ticket that they might have somebody come look at the meter. Because at first, I got this guy on the phone that said, it's perfect. We can read it digitally, and we know exactly what's happening. I said, well, what if there's a problem at the meter? And then I called back a second time, and he told me, the new guy that I spoke to said, that I needed to go out to the meter myself and reset it. I said, how am I going to do that? I don't know where the meter's at. He goes, well, you need to go to the manager of your apartment complex and tell them to go reset the meter. And I'm like, this doesn't sound right. Shouldn't you guys come out and they're like, no, we don't do that. And I said, yes, I know you do that. So I went to my apartment manager and I said, you know, Southern California Edison said I had a $190 electricity bill for February. Did anybody else say that? And her eyes like kind of went wide. She goes, but you live in a small apartment. And I'm like, yeah, I do. She goes, yeah, that doesn't sound right. And I was telling her how they were saying that I needed to get their maintenance guy to go out and look at the meter. And she goes, our maintenance guy doesn't do that. And I said, yeah, I know they don't. And she goes, it sounds like they're just kind of like giving you the runaround. And I'm like, yeah. So I decided to call again because I've been having this odyssey with Southern California Edison. So I called again this morning. And I finally got somebody who agreed to like have, well, I'm still on a wait list, but she finally agreed try and get somebody to have them come out and read the meter, because last time I talked to 2 people, they said that they don't do that and that can't be done, and they'll just do an investigation on their end to see if like the kilowatts estimated were accurate. I'm like, well, you could say it's accurate on your end, but if you didn't go and check the meter, there might be a problem. And I know that there's a problem really, but I have to wait to see what I'm going to have to call them again tomorrow, because this Southern California Edison thing is getting ridiculous. Yeah, it's so much fun, like, this whole electricity thing. I'm like, I did not use that much energy, but, you know. Anyway, that was all my fun talk about Southern California Edison, trad wife, Jennifer Lopez. I don't know. Sometimes I look at trending things and sometimes I don't. But those were just some things that kind of came up on my radar, and I don't think, like, Jennifer Lopez was intentionally like playing certain roles. I think it's a problem with Hollywood, if you want to know the truth. Like, because Hollywood for years has had like a bit of a racist element to it, where like if you wanted to be an actress, there weren't a lot of roles that represent who you are. And like I said, there's nobody, I've never seen an actress like a role in a movie about somebody that was part Syrian and part English as an American. Like, I've never seen like a movie with somebody like that. So for people to get mad at her because she did a lot of different roles where she didn't portray somebody like her, are there a lot of movies with people that are Puerto Rican? And if she wanted to be an actress, those were the roles that were offered to her. Unless you want to write your own. I think it's Mia Thadalos. I was trying to remember her name. But anyway, unless you want to write your own movie, which although at the end of the day, that is kind of one criticism I do have Jennifer Lopez, is that the people are complaining about how kind of cringy this new documentary that she's making of her is. And yeah, I was kind of wondering about this. I'm not a fan, and I'm not a hater either. I'm just kind of like a neutral person. Like, I've seen some of her movies. I liked Made in Manhattan. I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it was realistic. Like, I thought even in 2003, when we went to go see that, it's not a realistic movie. Definitely not. Like, the whole thing. And there were a lot of things that were very... Well, Ralph Fiennes was playing an American politician, and he's English. And Natasha Richardson was playing like a waspy character, and she's English. So, I don't know. Aren't actors supposed to be able to play different kinds of roles? Like, sometimes an actor will play a role that's not exactly their background. Sometimes. But it is a problem with Hollywood, too. Because there's just not a lot of characters that are going to be like the person that actor is trying to portray. Unless you go and write your own movie and you make an independent film. And if you do, most of the time it's just not going to be as popular as like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Nia Thadalos. I'm just trying to remember her name. But anyway. Yes, it was Nia Thadalos. So for instance, yeah, you're just not, unless you are going to go make your own independent movie where you can have, although that's why I'm saying, like, I don't want to criticize Jennifer Lopez. I was just kind of wondering, this was just a thought in my head, why is she making a documentary about herself? Like, why didn't she make a movie about, like, a Puerto Rican character and make it more, like, relatable? Like, I don't know. I don't really understand. Or make a movie about somebody with an interesting arc and storyline. Why is she making a documentary about herself? I don't know. Don't people usually make a documentary about you? I don't know. Unless this is like her version of a biography, maybe. But then I don't even really care. Like, I'm not going to watch it. Like, okay, it's a little cringy. And she's saying that, oh, like, she's Jenny from the block. And I guess, like, the thing that people had a problem with it was, they're like, what block are you talking about? And that she grew up in a predominantly white suburban neighborhood with some minority people. And I think that's the criticism, is that she tries to make it sound like, I guess she's like somebody that came from a more ethnic background. Although she has an ethnic background, I think the criticism is that she doesn't really, I think this is what's making people upset, that she doesn't really exactly represent herself as a Latina. But I think people are just looking for somebody to hate, because hate is fun, and I don't like hate. And I actually really love Salma Hayek, but am I biased? Because when I found out she was part Lebanese, I was like, yeah, I love that, because I don't know, because of my dad, my dad being of Syrian Lebanese background. I think I was drawn to her, like, when I found that out. So the thing is, Salma Hayek, who I do believe is a much more talented actress than Jennifer Lopez, because I don't know, when I think about Jennifer Lopez, I kind of just see her as like a rom-com actress. Like, she's not really like a heavyweight actress in my opinion. Like, I know she was in the movie Enough, but that wasn't a very good movie. I'm sorry. I see her more as a lightweight rom-com. I think she was at her best in Made in Manhattan and The Wedding Planner, although I still think it's weird that they wrote her as an Italian. I just don't understand. That part is kind of strange. Oh, there was another movie I did like her in, Monster-in-Law, where she, that was a pretty funny movie. That was good, but I think I liked that movie a lot because Jane Fonda was in it. Anything with Jane Fonda, you're just going to have good comedic laughs, okay? So, I just see her as a good, like, rom-com, light actress. I think that's probably what she does best, and she's a really good dancer. Like, her dancing is pretty darn amazing. She's very fit. She's a beautiful woman. I think she's just not, like, the high-end singer that she claims to be, and I think some people are upset because she's confident. But what is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to tear herself down? I think maybe she should be nice. I think there is a problem, though, because she said bad things about other people that she acted with. And that kind of does bother me a little bit. Like, why? Why did she need to do that? But I don't know. The people that are criticizing her are kind of doing that too, right? So, yeah, whatever. So, I guess I've dissected that enough. But she's not the first, like, Latino actress to play parts that aren't exactly from her background. But it's kind of like a Hollywood problem. Because maybe there should be more diversity in roles. And I don't think she's the first person to do that either, because didn't Alec Baldwin's wife kind of do the same thing where she was pretending to be, like, Spanish? And she's not? Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of people that do that, I guess. Like, maybe because they need to be something that they're not. But maybe, like, the trad wife thing. We don't get super mad at the trad wives for this reason, but I bet you at the end of the day, even the people that are saying, like, they do this and that as a trad wife, behind the scenes, a lot of that's performative. Like, do you think, like, they're making cereal from scratch and rolling little balls? I think some of it's supposed to be satire and people are, like, losing their minds. But, like, when they say, I'm making chocolate Cocoa Puffs and I'm rolling out each ball and I'm making it from scratch, I think some of that is satire. Like, I really do, because if you believe that they do that all the time, I think some of it's satire. I think it's just to be funny. I think it's just saying, like, why don't you make something else? Or maybe they really do. I don't know. But I kind of see that as satire. Like, I would take that as satire. Like, ha, ha, ha. Who's going to spend 2 hours rolling out 2 bowls of cereal? Like, there are things you can make that are much more delicious and nutritious, like, than that. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny. I was like, I don't get. But, man, I don't know. I saw too much trad wife content on my feed recently, and I didn't really understand, like, why I was seeing so much of it, because I'm not a trad wife, and I'm not married, and I don't know. Sometimes the feed just tells us things or shows us things that I think this is a problem too. Like, when you watch one of the videos through continuation, the feed thinks you like that. Like, I also ended up on the side of TikTok that's, like, really ranty, where people are always, like, complaining about things, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know why I'm on this side of TikTok too. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. But anyway, who knows why all these things happen. I just say, let's not follow accounts. Like, let's not engage with accounts that we don't like. Like, if this account is posting, like, something that you think is performative, like, stop engaging with it. Or do you secretly like it? Like, because you just want to, like, gossip about it or something. I don't know. Like, do you secretly... I find that problematic. Like, do you secretly follow Jennifer Lopez or, like, any other celebrity because you are looking to see them have, like, a crisis so you can, like, say, oh, you want to bring them down or laugh at them? I don't know. That's kind of what I think, but... Because at the end of the day, if you don't like her content, like, I just... Salma Hayek's a better actress than Jennifer Lopez. I like her better, but my bias might be because I'm like, I don't know, I just think she's more talented. Like, I've just always liked her more. Like, when you see Jennifer Lopez, like, as an actress, she's not bad, but she's not, like, outstanding either. And when I think about it, I like The Wedding Planner, but maybe it's because Matthew McConaughey was in it. There's a lot of actors that were in that movie that I don't remember or think about. But, like, Matthew McConaughey, and I guess the same, I could say How to Lose a Wife in 10... How do you lose a guy in 10 days, not a wife, a guy. Like, with Jennifer Hudson. Even though she's the daughter of Goldie Hawn, and I love Goldie Hawn. You know, Private Benjamin, when I was a kid, that was one of my favorite movies. And if you ever want to watch a movie about, like, true female empowerment, watch Private Benjamin. That is a good movie. I would recommend that. Movies used to be better, okay? I know there's still some good movies right now, but if you want to watch a true movie about a woman that has growth and female empowerment, go watch Private Benjamin with Goldie Hawn. Like, she can be funny and dramatic. And Jennifer Hudson's a good actress, but I have to say, that movie, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, I thought Matthew McConaughey's performance was better. Like, there's just certain actors and actresses we might like better, you know? So, when I think back, like, I was never a super fan of Jennifer Lopez, but I think she does like controversy too. So even if like people are kind of hating on her right now, it's still kind of increasing her brand in some way because people are talking about her. And some people believe no news is bad news. And maybe that's her, like, her goal. I don't know. I don't really understand. It just doesn't seem that exciting, really. I guess I feel the same way about Madonna. Like, I didn't really love Madonna either. I love Culture Club. I still like to see what Boy George is up to, or sometimes occasionally I haven't looked to see what Duran Duran, like the members of Duran Duran are up to, or like the Scorpions. But there's just bands like, yeah, or actors that I'm like, from when I was young, or like even Phil Collins, like people that I really liked, that I'm more curious in what they're up to than maybe certain actors. But that's just my take on it. Anyway, I've had my little chatty chat, ranty rant about actors. It's fun little chatty chat, ranty rant about actors, right? Right. Boop. 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 Okay. So I like that I put the grapefruit in there because it's gonna. It uses up some of my citrus. I might put another grapefruit in too because I have a lot of them. And it doesn't always have to be a lime or a lemon, in my opinion. I want to use up some of the grapefruits that have been sitting here. And the citric acid is just good for the apples. It brings out their flavor. I'm gonna squeeze some more in. Okay, now we're gonna do the part of the performance where we get the sugar. Okay, there was another thing I wanted to talk about, the brown sugar. Maybe and somebody was just saying this, like Americans just don't make enough stuff from scratch. And I don't understand why it took the pandemic for people to start thinking that they could make stuff from scratch, because I've just done that. And I'm just at a point now, I'm like, you know what? If other people want to pretend like when the pandemic came that all of a sudden that they were an artisan bread maker, that's fine. But like people did that forever before the pandemic, and you don't have to be like a stay-at-home trad wife to make a pie. Like, and you don't have to be a stay-at-home trad wife to dress feminine or wear dresses. Like, because I'm not those things. And actually, like in real life, a lot of women, like, there was a woman that said this to me the other day. Like, she goes, I commend anybody who wears a dress. And I'm like, what? I mean, I know she meant that in a nice way. Like, she didn't mean that in a mean way. She's just surprised. Like, a lot of women will say that to me. Not usually younger women, but women that were, like, boomer to, like, Gen X. Like, millennials, not as much. But I would say, like, boomer and Gen X women, a lot of them just didn't like women wearing dresses. And a lot of boomer women after the 60s and 70s didn't like to see a woman with long hair. Like, and this was especially true like in the teaching profession. There were a lot of women that were very, like, that would just give you, like, there were these women, like, I did teach for a couple years. Like, these women gave me a dirty look. Like, they literally, like, we were at a meeting, and they gave me a dirty look because one of the male teachers said that my hair looked nice after I got a pretty layered haircut, which I don't like layers anymore. I just like one length. But, like, they literally gave me a dirty look because this man complimented my hair. And then later, when I just decided to cut my hair shoulder, it was like above the shoulders, and that was my own decision. And the reason being was because, I don't know, every time I had layers, I was just never happy. And I felt like the layers were always getting kind of wispy at the bottom, so it would make me want to cut my hair shorter. So I got it, it was like a long kind of bob. And then that same woman that had given me a dirty look when a man said he liked my hair, she told me one day, oh, I like your hair now. And I'm just like, that's so weird. Like, there was just something about older women. I don't know, like, older women, I hate to say this, but just women of a certain generation, they don't support other women. It's a very big thing. Like, I mean, I think Gen Z just does this better, guys. Like, even millennials kind of do this to each other a little bit, but I think Gen Z's just tired of this. And I've noticed this, like, a lot of Gen Z people are just more supportive of other people. And they're not against boomer people. I think they're just against a certain boomer mindset, because even there's things that Gen Z, like, people say that I've thought all my life that I'm just like, I don't agree with that. But now you just have, like, a cultural acceptance that people are finally saying those things. Like, they're kind of waking up to some of the ludicrous comments that people made to each other. Like, why do you care if a woman wears a dress? She doesn't need to be a child wife to wear a dress. And wearing a dress and being feminine doesn't mean that you're a stay-at-home conservative lady. I don't know. And people could be liberal and conservative as child wives too. I don't know. I think people want to box everybody in. We live in the generation of a box. And if people don't fit into this, like, criteria of what you think that they should be, like, you feel bothered by it. Why? Why is that? Why do we live in such a time? Like, well, I guess it's been like that always, but... And I think another thing that's indicative of it is there are still, like, trends that people follow now, but nowadays it's a little more acceptable just to dress how you like. And I would say that's more of a recent phenomenon. So some people are like, in the old days, it was so much better. But I think there's a lot of things in the modern times that are a lot better. Like, I think in the modern 2020s, like, even during the panini, I think one thing that's going to be better is that people are more accepting of what other people like to wear or do or say. Like, I think, to be honest with you, bodily autonomy is much more respected in 2024 than it was in 1994, and that's a good thing. I know there's a lot of people that don't feel that way, but why? I think there is progress. I do. And there's a lot of people that want to say, well, everything was better in the past. Not everything was better in the past. I think some things are better in our modern era. Some things might have been better in the past, like, yeah, food ingredients, like maybe it was more organic and pure, but the other drawback was more people died because food scarcity. Electricity is more universally available. Like, safe drinking water is more universally available. People can live longer. I think these are all good things. Like, I know some people that are afraid that our planet's going to be overpopulated, which is kind of a farce and a myth in a way. Like, the way that they go on about it. Like, the people that talk about that a lot, though, I see liberals and conservatives do that, they're into population control, and I don't really like those people. I know. Population control people just really, they don't mind their own business. They never have. Anyway, these are just all my thoughts, and you can think whatever you want about life. This smells really, really good. I love cinnamon and apple. I just love the smell of it. Don't do the cinnamon challenge, though. That's not good. Where people would eat cinnamon, that was very upsetting. Why would you stick cinnamon in your mouth? It's not healthy to stick cinnamon in your mouth. So I kind of like to let it meld, where it kind of soaks in with the juices of the grapefruit. It kind of helps to sort of melt the sugar a bit. Brown sugar doesn't, cane sugar, terminato sugar, which is better than brown sugar, because brown sugar is just white sugar that's been processed and had, like, all the fiber taken out of it. Terminato is just cane sugar that's been broken up. So I wish I could show you. Like, this kind of sugar, this terminato sugar, it's beautiful. And it's a little bit more healthy. It's just, it tastes better too. Like, I just think everything that you put it in has better flavor. And brown sugar just has some molasses added back into white sugar. So I know, like, there's this debate, like, oh, brown sugar is healthier than white sugar. But it's basically just like white bread that's dressed up as wheat bread, you know, kind of thing. And I'm not even sure, like, although they always say that brown bread is healthier, but I like sourdough bread. I don't even like bread that much, though, to be honest with you. So this is what I like to do. I like to let the apples sit for a while so I can just keep mixing it up. And it kind of melds in the juice. And I don't cook. Okay, this is what I don't do. I don't cook the apples on the stovetop before I make the pie. I just like to let the apples sit and they kind of marinate. And then you can just kind of keep mixing them. And to me, that's a lot better than having to bake the apples. Like, they're already going to get baked in the pie. I don't need them to bake twice. I like a little bit, they'll get cooked through. But maybe I like a slightly raw apple, and it's not even raw. Maybe just more semi-cooked, I guess you could say. That's what I like when it comes to a pie, though. I really like that. Yum, yum. They're going to sit for a while. Thanks for watching.